Welcome back, my friends. It is the third and final segment of my lessons from Abraham. I'm going to pull in some other things into this conversation about the law of everything works out for me. This is a lesson from Abraham. Everything is working out for me. Everything works out for me. I want you to say that to yourself right now. Take an inhale. Let it out. I want you to say, everything works out for me. Do you believe that, or does it not feel to be true? Be honest with yourself. I will tell you, I had a moment last week where it really locked in for me that everything works out for me. And the difference is understanding that that doesn't mean that things won't go wrong, that things won't go sideways, that life won't be challenging. It means that everything works out for me eventually. Okay. And there's a great quote from Lewis Howes. He says, it all works out in the end. And if it hasn't worked out yet, you're not at the end yet. And trusting that your path is your path. Many things you need to bump up against because they cause the contrast that allows you to get clear on what you really want. Contrast, failure, rejection, all falls into contrast, all right? That is all feedback that is critically important for you to know which direction you desire the most. Without it, we don't grow. So we need the down moments. We need the frustration. We need the disappointment. We need some pain to move us into the direction we are supposed to be going in, the one that speaks most directly to our soul. And when we feel that contrast, when it doesn't feel good, it reminds us that we need to get back into arm in arm lockstep with our soul. And we need to get on the same page, because if it felt good for our soul, we'd be excited. And if it doesn't, we know we're out of alignment. It is really the easiest measure of whether or not you are in a place where you need to be. And I have learned to appreciate the lessons of the frustrations, of the disappointments, of the embarrassments, of the things that I've done that I give a good smack to my forehead on, because they taught me a lot. I think back to my early years working in public relations. Even before then, I had some moments. I grew up in this little town. I was so naive. And I can still remember, I went off to college and we were at a nice bar, and we were supposed to leave a tip. If you've ever done this, supposed to leave a tip for the bathroom attendant. And I didn't know. And I left, and my roommates were like, you're supposed to leave her a tip. And I remember feeling so stupid. And I thought, as I look back, I can remember it clearly, but I have a lot of empathy for people who come from also not knowing. And then I knew. So I didn't make that mistake again. And I look back on my life, and there's moments where I screwed up at work. I didn't handle things well. But you know what? I handled more well than I didn't. And in the long arm of my career, it's all worked out for me. And so it's okay to make some mistakes. The mistakes teach you what you want to do. And without them, how would you know? It's all working out for you. So I want you to trust the journey, that it's all working out for you. And the things that get in the way of this, okay? One is regret. And Peter Crone, one of my favorite people, if you haven't listened to him, he's fabulous. He's adorable, and he's got an accent. I could listen to him forever. And he says, the past couldn't have happened any other way, because it didn't. It didn't. It happened. The past is gone. It's over, my friends. The past happened. And when you look back and think you should have done something in another way, that is a colossal waste of energy. What is a good use of your energy is to come to peace with what happened in the past and forgive. And a lot of the work that I did last fall, almost a year ago, at a place called 40 Years of Zen, was all about digging back into my past and letting go of things that were triggering me and causing friction in my life. I was super resistant to doing this because I don't like to relive unpleasant things. But if you can go back and go through a process where you forgive and let it go, as Joe Dispenza likes to say, those don't become painful memories, they become wisdom. So you're either hanging on to old memories as resentments and shame and regret, or you can do the work and look back on all of those as lessons and wisdom. And when you look at the things that happened as wisdom and teachers, everything shifts. And that's when you know everything works out for you. That's when you know everything works out for you, okay? The other thing that gets in the way of believing everything works out for you are your current set of limiting beliefs. So what are the stories you're telling yourself right now? In your business, I don't have enough experience. I'm not as good as other people. I don't have enough time. I'm not good on social media. I don't know who my target market is. If you can get the limiting beliefs out of your way and just know you can figure it out, if you just decide to trust yourself, you will get to where you need to be. So believing everything works out for you is only becomes a true belief when you believe that the things that happened in the past happened for you. And listen, you guys, I am not a therapist. Okay, I know some bad things happen to people. I had some bad things happen to me in college that I needed to deal with. Okay, I know that there are really terrible things that happen. And I'm not minimizing them. I'm saying if you can get to a place where you can figure out what the lesson is and how you can grow from that, that's when your life takes another direction. And I'm not saying it's easy. And I am not saying I'm even qualified to help some people deal with some of the trauma, but we do see people. If you look around, we see people that have overcome what would break many of us and are here to tell the story and to be an inspiration to others. And so I know it's possible. I know it's possible when I see people go through what I think is something that would break me and they come out the other side stronger. I know it's possible. And so I encourage you to look for people who inspire you, who maybe have walked the path that you've walked and have done this work, because that's the key. And, you know, Abraham does say, the bigger, the starker the contrast, right? The more you hit the depths, the more opportunity there is to learn and grow. As hard as that may be to find yourself back to a place, the growth that can come from that is, you have the opportunity to really grow in a significant way. So I'm not minimizing that bad things happen. I'm not trivializing it. I'm saying everything's a teacher. And when you believe that, when you believe everything is working out for you, it will. That's the key. You have to believe it to see it. You cannot wait to see it to believe it. You've got to believe it to see it. And the best way I think to do this is to look back not at the things you regret, but the things that sent you in a direction where you are right now. And oftentimes, some of your best decisions are made because you were at a pain point that got to such a point that something had to change. And that is when things started to change for the better. And if you're in a point right now where you're saying, yeah, things need to change, just know that that's a good thing. You're hitting a point where you're ready to say, I'm going to move back in the direction of what is my soul's telling me to do. Hey, that's the final lesson from today. If you haven't been listening to Abraham Hicks, I would really suggest it. I listed a lot of different people. There's podcasts. If you just search for podcasts, you can find some. I'll put some in the show notes. I also suggest the books, and there's Audible books and there's regular books. Ask and It Is Given is one of the key reading materials for the law of attraction, because it really explains what the steps are. And the first step, you guys, is to ask, which means you have to get into a place of contrast. So just trust that if you're not feeling yourself right now, that's okay. And remember that getting back in alignment with yourself is the most important thing. You're worth it. You're worth everything you desire. Everything is working out for you. Everything's working out for me. Everything's working out for us. You've got this. I love you to pieces. We're going to start digging back into some serious marketing stuff in the next couple of weeks, because my magnetic marketing course, I've finished all the pieces of it. I'm going to start to record that and share a bunch of stuff with you there. So we'll dig back into some really foundational marketing stuff over the next couple of weeks. But I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Mwah. Love you to pieces. Bye.